Hey guys, it's Charlene. I'm here to give you a look at the April SCT sampler, and we're going to make 3 different cards today. So included in the sampler, we have some items from Echo Park Paper's New Day collection. We have some ephemera as well as some enamel dots, and then there's a 3x4 journaling card, a 6x4 journaling card, and several pieces of patterned paper. They are full bloom, pretty as a picture, perfect day plaid, Bee Buddies, Radiant Rainbows, and Freshly Picked. Then there's also some items from the Hop To It collection by PhotoPlay paper. There is some ephemera, and then there are several pieces of patterned paper. We have Spring Has Sprung, Egg Hunt, Spring Garden, Just Hatched, Easter Sunday, and Bunny Ears, all super cute. Also included is the exclusive lovely wafer die and shadow set, as well as an exclusive stamp from Gina K Designs called Spring Daffodils. So let's get started. So I mentioned I'm going to make 3 cards today. I'm starting out with the 3x4 journaling card, and I'm going to cut out using a tag die, that cute little sentiment there that says let love grow. And then I have a piece of the ephemera that I'm going to make into my banner, and I'm just using my scissors to cut a little fishtail on each side. And then because I want it to look like it's longer, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half so that way I can tuck it under the left and right hand side of the tag. I'm using a few sketches today, which is kind of fun. I am using 3 sketches from Scrapbook and Cards Today, and they are available on their website along with several other sketches. So I'm going to go ahead and for the 3 different cards, I'm going to include those sketches down in the bottom left hand corner to show you kind of where my inspiration is coming from. My end cards kind of look a little bit different from the sketches, but they're a lot of fun. So I have cut out a piece of the pattern paper with a stitched rectangle die, and then what I'm doing here, I am moving the cut out piece up just a little bit on that stitched rectangle die, and then I'm taping it and making sure that the little stitch parts that my paper is popped in there. You'll see why in just a minute. Now I have a piece of teal paper here that I'm cutting a cute little border along the edge, and I have this popped up here with some foam tape. I am using some liquid adhesive over the top of the foam tape so that way I have a little bit of wiggle room and can make sure I get it placed correctly on my card base. These are all going to be A2 size cards, which are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you can see my card is actually going to be on the horizontal. So that's the first difference you can see. But now there is that other little piece that I cut out. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to run that back through my die cut machine, flipped and reversed. So essentially so that I can get the stitching impression on that piece to be the same way as the other piece. It's a little hard to explain with words, you know, words are hard sometimes. But hopefully you guys get the point here from watching the video and you can see why I'm doing the things I'm doing. But now I have glued the little cloud portion of the pattern paper just under that piece of the plaid portion of the pattern paper. And now I can glue this entire piece to my card. So it looks like I have a piece of the cloud paper fully tucked under there, but really it's just a tiny little piece that I cut and did the stitching by running it back through the die cutting machine. So now I've got that down. I've adhered it with some liquid adhesive, and off camera I did cut out a piece of craft EVA foam with the tag die that I'm using so that it will match. And this is a fun thing you can do with journaling cards, is see what dies you have and you can cut out from those journaling cards and make them into shaped pieces, essentially your own ephemera, which is fun. Now I'm using some liquid adhesive to set it down on the card, and now I'm going to come in with those 2 pieces of the little rainbow flag that I created at the beginning, and I'm going to tuck those underneath while my glue is still wet. So If you can kind of see from the sketch, it had the tag and then the banner die and the couple of different pieces of patterned paper, as well as that kind of wavy border along the right hand side. And my card has a lot of similar elements, but I changed it up a little bit here and there, especially by putting it on the horizontal, and I think it looks really cute. I did go ahead and cut out and tie a little bow and glue that to the front of the card, and then I am using the leftover piece from my cut out frame on the inside of the card, so that way the inside of the card matches the outside of the card and you have this cute little framed area to write your greeting in. So there's the finished first card. I think this card is really cute. I like it a lot. All right, for my second card, I am going to cut out 4 pieces of the patterned paper, and then I'm going to flip 2 of them over, so I'll use the reverse side. And now I have the daffodils stamp, and I'm going to stamp that out on some alcohol ink friendly cardstock, and I'm using alcohol friendly ink so that way I can color in my daffodils. And I'm not going to have you sit here for the whole time while I color them in, but these are really super easy to color if you are newer to Copic marker coloring. Flowers like this are kind of a good place to start because you don't have to use a ton of colors. They don't require a ton of shading, and I pretty easily colored all 3 of them in. Now I'm not going to use all 3 on the front of the card, but I figured I would go ahead and do them all at the same time. Once I was done with my Copic marker coloring, I've gone back in. I left my stamps on my MISTI. I never took it off, so that way I could re-stamp with the black again in order to create a really nice bright outline of that black ink. Now I just have a strip of white paper, and I'm going to use some pigment ink to go ahead and go in here and stamp my sentiment. This is also from the included stamp set, and it says thinking of you. And then I'm going to cut a little fishtail when I'm putting the card together in order to make that be my little sentiment strip. So a few things that are different about my card from the sketch. You can see there I used a square, but I used one that has kind of a postage stamp border to it. I think that looks really cool. And then I'm going to go ahead, and this is a neat little trick here if you ever struggle with getting multiple pieces on your card straight. I'm laying them out. I've put the foam tape on the back, but I have not removed the release tape. And then I'm just using some low tack highlighter tape here to glue all 4 of the square pieces together so I can make sure they stay put when I'm trying to put them all down onto the card base. So you can see I've taken off all the release paper. I dotted all of the adhesive foam with some liquid glue so I have a little bit of wiggle time, and then I can make sure everything gets down nice and centered on my card. Now this is a square card. I don't do a lot of square cards, but I thought this little sketch was a lot of fun as well. Once it has dried a little bit, you can just peel off that low tack tape, and then your squares are in the perfect position. Now I did fussy cut out my flowers, and I'm going to use 2 here on the front of the card, and I'm going to get the flowers how I like them, and then I will glue the bottom to that bottom right hand square. And the reason I'm not gluing the top is because I want to pop up each of the flowers in order to give it a little bit of dimension. And I'm just making sure I get my sentiment here where I want it, and sort of checking to see how long I should make the edges. And you can see now I'm going to add that little fishtail that I talked about. These are really super easy to do. You just cut a little bit up from the center and then make sure you're right at the corner, and you cut each side into that center piece. And then once I have that where I like it, I can put it back down and see where I need to trim it on the other side. I am going to pop that sentiment strip up with some of the adhesive foam squares as well. Once I get that where I like it on the card, I can go ahead and adhere it down, kind of tap it down a little bit, and then I can pop up my flowers, the tops of my flowers. So I'm using one of the same size foam squares that I did on the rest of the card for one of the flowers, and then I'm pulling out some of my thicker foam squares in order to pop up the other flowers. So that way they are at differing heights on the front of the card. I think it adds a nice little something. So again, I did make a little bow here, also with some thread that I had, and I'm gluing that to the base of the flowers. And now I'm just coming in with some Wink of Stella and I'm coloring over the two flowers. This just adds a nice little shimmer to your colored items. It's not super noticeable, especially not in the video, but in person, when you turn it a little bit, it looks really pretty. I love Wink of Stella. I think it looks gorgeous on cards. So I went ahead and took the third daffodil and I glued that on the inside of the card, and here is the finished card. I think this one is really sweet, and I think it's just so springy. It's really nice. Okay, moving on to my third card. I know we're moving kind of fast here. I am using a rectangle die to cut out a piece of patterned paper, and then I'm going to use these two flag dies that I have, and I'm going to cut out from that leftover strip of plaid paper, and then I'm going to cut out also from the other side of the camera paper. So I've got two different flag sizes. On this card, I'm using the word and shadow die, and I've cut out two of the white shadow die, and then I cut out three of the word die. And this was just some paper I had in my stash. I don't even know what color it is, but I thought it kind of went with the green cameras, and so I'm trying to tie everything together. I've gone ahead and put some liquid adhesive down on all of those so that I can layer them up, and you just go around the edges and pinch your word all together to make sure that it gets nice and straight, and then I'm gluing that onto the shadow. So now you have a really nice big sentiment word die cut for the front of the card. Now, I didn't have any floral kind of like ephemera leaves or anything like that. So what I did is I took one of the pieces of the ephemera that was included in the kit, and I decided to cut off the bottom of the bag and then glue it behind the word die cut. And I think it works great. Now I can go ahead and just put everything together. And I've glued down the large flag. I'm going to glue down the smaller flag, and then I can put my word down on the top of the card. I think this came out really cute. This card probably is the most different from the sketch, I think, but I like how it came out. And I used some dot runner. I'm going to adhere this to some pink paper to create a nice little border here around the main piece. And then I can just go ahead and again put it on a card base. This card has the least amount of bulk out of the cards. I didn't use any foam tape on this card. The way I got my dimension was by having that die cut. I had several layers there, and I also had 2 layers of the shadow, which made it really stand up on the card. Super thin, it would fit in an envelope really easily and go through the regular mail, which is nice. So now I've taken a couple of those enamel dots that were included in the kit, and I'm just adding them to the center of 3 of the flowers on that little shopping bag bouquet of flowers to add a little bit more to the card. So you guys will have to let me know down in the comments if you like how I have included the sketch during the whole video. I've never done that before, but I thought it might be nice for you to see as I went along sort of where my inspiration was coming from as I was making things. So now I've taken a little strip there and I'm just gluing it to the sides of the card, and I'm tucking it back behind the pink paper so I can add just a little more interest to the card. I thought it was a little bit bare on those areas around the pink paper, so I thought it might look nice with that there. And I've taken the rest of that strip and I'm going to go ahead and adhere it at an angle on the inside of my card, and then I can just snip off the edges with my scissors, and that'll add just a little bit of fun to the inside of the card to go with the outside of the card. So there is the finished card. I think this one is also really cute. It's different from my normal styles of cards, I think, but I like it as well. All right, guys, there's my 3 finished cards. I hope you enjoyed this today and you found some helpful information. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons as well as the notification bell so that I can continue bringing you crafty content in the future. Until next time, happy crafting.